President Biden is facing heat for being what critics call, quote, clueless and out of touch on the economy. While everyday Americans are struggling to buy groceries and pay their bills, Biden says his economic policies are working.
For 65% of the American people think they're in good shape economically. They think the nation's not in good shape, but they're personally in good shape. The polling data has been wrong all along. The fact is that if you take a look at what the people have, they have the money to spend. It angers them and angers me that you have to spend more.
Even Democrats and the left-wing media couldn't defend Biden on this one and warn that the economy could cost Biden the election.
He's right on the numbers about the economic turnaround, but he is on very dangerous ground. I would say he risks pissing off some of the voters I've talked to in my travels over the last 6 or 7 months because they don't feel it.
I think he's making a terrible mistake. You know, it may not be, if he doesn't win this race, it may not be Donald Trump that beats him. It may be his own pride.
I agree with Axe. I think his economic messaging is incredibly weak. I think he must be mortified when he looks at poll after poll that says the American people trust Donald Trump more on the economy.
And yet, Dagan, the president dismissed the polls and said they were wrong, so he's essentially dismissing Americans, calling them wrong, even though they know exactly well what they feel across their kitchen table and in their wallets.
He dismissed them in that interview. He said this, and I thought that this was the worst thing of all the lies that he told. He said, the fact is, if you take a look at what people have, they have the money to spend. That was his real Marie Antoinette moment, or Josephine Antoinette. It was literally let them eat air. They have the money, and it's cruel that under Joe Biden, real incomes, so inflation-adjusted incomes for the middle class, are down 3%. Their wages, their incomes are not keeping up with this inflation, and inflation is incredibly unsettling. People don't know how to plan for their futures. But in terms of his chronic lies, there was a lie a minute in that interview. Erin Burnett didn't correct him. She just sat there. She didn't say anything. I was half expecting her to lean over and just close his mouth for him when he was sitting there with his jaw hanging open.
And there's such a discrepancy, Lisa, between the statistics the president cites and, again, the reality, where he can call poverty a certain amount, but the reality is people who have that amount are in poverty because they can't pay their bills and they can't pay for their groceries.
But has Joe Biden ever cared about the truth? You know, I think he believes that if he just continues to lie and gaslight the American people, maybe they'll finally just start believing it. You know, as Dagan pointed out, 15 lies in 17 minutes, a lie per minute, lying about all these different things. But ultimately, what this election is going to come down to is just to compare and contrast. I mean, we're in such a unique position, this election cycle, of predecessor and successor, right? Americans know you can go down the list of issues you care about. You know exactly where these two guys stand because you've experienced it in real time in just the past few years alone. And so, you know, and ultimately it's going to come down to that CNN poll that found that 55% of Americans view Donald Trump's time in office as a success.
All right, let's go on to this topic here. Former President Trump has been pushing to debate President Biden for months now, and he just posted this challenge on social media.
Let's get to the debate right now. The American people have the right to know. Anytime, anywhere, any place. Let's go, Joe. Let's debate.
And after initially dodging whether he would debate Trump, it seems President Biden is warming up to the idea.
Mr. President, when will you debate President Trump?
Set it up, Biden says, sort of like when he responded to calls to dismantle ICE. Give me a couple days. So do you think he means this, or do you think he's just reacting the way the wind blows, which he seems to do?
Good point. I won't believe that Biden debates until I see it with my own eyes. I'm sorry, I don't believe it. You're not going to get the CNN Erin Burnett fact-check treatment, or lack thereof, during a presidential debate with Donald Trump. Yeah, the moderator may give you a pass. I'm sure it'll be some liberal. But Donald Trump's going to fact check you in real time. He has receipts and he will bring them. And this is, I mean, make no mistake, this is basement campaign 2.0. It's just run out of the Oval Office. They have highly controlled events for him. I was reading today in Politico, they're considering moving the DNC to semi-online so as to not let protesters disrupt it. That's a Politico headline. So do you really think the basement campaign's going to let him out of the Oval Office to go get demolished by Donald Trump? He will sit in the metaphorical basement. I'd love to be proven wrong, though.
So, Ari, talk to us about the impact. If Kayleigh's right, which she always is, talk to us about the impact this will have on Democrats and on any independent.
If he debates or if he doesn't debate?
If he doesn't debate, or both. But I meant if he
debates, and this is why Kayleigh's right, there can't be debates. If he debates, it's going to be the kiss of death for Joe Biden as well as the Democratic Party. The last thing they want to do is put Joe Biden out there for the world to see, live, spontaneous, for an hour and a half at 9 o'clock at night. He can't even walk up the stairs to Air Force One, yet he can stand on a stage for an hour and a half at prime time? No. They're going to have to hide him. You know, there is a basement underneath the Oval Office. It's located right next to the mess. And that's what you're going to have with Joe Biden if he takes the stage, a mess. So, you know, when Joe Biden says, set it up, we saw earlier a clip saying, I'll never stop foreign weapons shipments to Israel. Set it up. What he's doing is he's maneuvering now so that he doesn't take the blame when I can't take the stage against a man who was convicted in Manhattan. He'll come up with some excuse for why he can't share a stage with Donald Trump. He said, you can't blame me. I wanted to. I said, set it up. No. It'd be political malpractice for Joe Biden to debate, and everybody knows it.
That's exactly what I was
Or
thinking.
he waits until after mail-in balloting and early voting has been going on for a while, like Fetterman did in Pennsylvania.
And has one debate on like November 4th.
Has one debate after, you know, you've already have all these voters who have already voted, and the outcome of the election can't really be changed that much. I think that's might be what he ends up doing, but we'll see.
It's sort of like an ultimate would you rather,
I would love to
where
see it.
all versions are equally horrible. Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kayleigh McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.